All right, let's see if we got this working. Looks like we do. Hooray! Awesome. Happy Thursday, friends. I am having a slow morning, but so far a good morning. I have coffee, I have my puppy, and I have Patrick. Yay! Sometimes I feel a little bit like Polka Dot Door as people come onto the chat. Do you know that show, Patrick? I think it was Polka Dot Door. Maybe it was Romper Room. They did the thing with the mirror at the end where they were like, and I see Patrick and I see Benjamin. And yeah, I was always sad because they never saw my name. Took me a long time to grow up enough to realize that it was super common Anglo-Christian names. Like if me and Jesus were waiting for our names to get called, we'd be waiting for a real long time. It was cute though. It was a good gimmick for feeling. Yeah, was it Romper Room? There we go. Yeah. Hey Laura, how are you? So stay with me, friends. I have many, many hundreds of dots to do. And this map has been honestly defeating me. Like, I have had the worst time trying to concentrate on this bloody thing. Can only really work on it for like a couple of hours at a time before my brain is like, no, that's it, you're done. And I'm like, no, I cannot be done. This has to get finished. You loved Romper Room? Yeah. It was a pretty great show. I feel like the programming that was on when we were kids is superior to a lot of the programming that's out now. So, you're in charge this week doing Boss Out of Town. Sweet. That's exciting. Thank you, Patrick. I do think it's looking good. Like, I have no complaints with visually how it's turning out. I just cannot tell you what a meat grinder it's been just to try and get it finished. Like, it's so exasperating. There's a lot of little Easter eggs all through it. There's these little craters. There's a cave entrance in this cliff. There's these weird standing stones over here. There's a set of kind of feathery lines over here and two lakes. So, and then the spiral, of course, which I'm really proud of, actually. That spiral makes me pretty happy. So, hopefully it's fun for my people on Patreon, but also for the players that I'm going to be giving it to. I have one player who is an absolute glutton, might be an appropriate word, for world building. She is just somebody who wants all of it. Give her the maps, give her obscure texts, give her pieces of material culture. Like, I routinely make all of the letters from a particular civilization on scrolls like this, because she wants those tangible objects to play with and to see what the material culture looks like. So it's kind of a lot of fun to work with her, work for her. Gives me a lot of inspiration to like do really incredible things with my maps. So yeah, sorry, I just realized I had not turned the ringer off on my phone. Have now. In Breath of the Wild, hey? I wonder if I have found that yet. It doesn't sound familiar to me. But I have like only gotten through maybe probably less than a quarter of the map total, I think. I'm not entirely sure about that. I did find one that was in a spiral of some flowers, though. Maybe that's the one you're thinking of. What are you working on, Patrick? Your library still? Looney Tunes, yes. Yes. Yeah, the overachievers thing is like something I can really relate to. Like I honestly feel like I'm in sort of a rehab for overachievers where just learning to be content with a regular life, telling myself that it's okay and that I'm not an abject failure. um you got your second beast and have the master sword. Oh my goodness. I have so much envy. I would love a weapon that doesn't break all the damn time. That would be so great. Although I have to say, Breath of the Wild has given me a whole new respect for polearms and spears. I think I need to see more fantasy writing that glorifies the spear as a weapon. So useful. I know swords have that romantic trope thing going for them, but spears are pretty awesome. Library of Graphite Dust. So fun. Nice. Are you using this for something? I don't think I asked that question yet. Or is it just for fun? You have a design in your head and you want to do it? I'm getting jetty. Like it's bouncing? All is okay again? Okay. Let me know if it gets worse again, I guess. I am tapping, so because my camera is affixed to my desk. Oh, it's breaking up. Okay. Hopefully we don't have huge problems today like we did last week with it being so problematic. Stop motion. Stop motion is cool, but not what I'm after this morning. I would like it to just be regular motions, please. I was up at 3 this morning to take a friend from his place to base because he leaves for Latvia for a month and didn't want to leave his vehicle sitting in the parking lot from where they were departing from for that period of time. So coffee is a very welcome, delightful companion this morning. I am grateful for it. Looks like we're going back to Scotland for my second trip to see Dave at the beginning of April. So that is really exciting. I really enjoyed Scotland and I cannot wait to go back. I feel so fortunate that I get to do 2 international trips in a year. Like, wow, how amazing is that? We're going up to Dorney. There's a very, very famous castle in Dorney, Einen Dorach, I think. I would have to look up the name. But my plan is to draw it, and hopefully more than once. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a sailing club out there that we found, and I'm hoping that I can contact them and see if we can hire someone to take us sailing on the loch, because like everything is right on this beautiful, beautiful loch. And I think that that would be just incredible. I've never been sailing before, so I think that'd be a really fun experience to have. So, oh, that's fun, Patrick. I kind of love that, like a Rolodex of standalone maps. Do you think people collect the same way they used to collect in the 80s? Like, I used to remember as a kid, like, collecting comic books and stuff, and the weight was part of it, right? Like, you knew that the thing you wanted was coming out and that you had to wait for it, and that built anticipation and made the thing valuable in some ways, or different, more valuable. Um, but people now, like, you can just go buy a giant flat of the box toys you want to get, like, say, loot boxes for D&D or whatever, and you can just go through it until you find the piece you want. Like, there's, I don't know, having weird thoughts about this. But then again, like, there's also all kinds of monthly subscription services now. Those didn't used to be nearly as much of a thing when I was a kid. So maybe I'm just wrong. It's entirely possible. I just feel like the expectation of instant gratification has gotten so much more since the era of Disney Afternoon with which I was raised. Or maybe that's a class thing. Maybe instant gratification has always been a thing and I just wasn't able to access it before because I didn't have enough money. That would make sense to me. Free same day delivery. You must live somewhere that's got like a really decent amount of public transport then. I'm 2 hours from the closest urban center, so same day anything is not impossible, like not generally a thing. It's usually impossible. People don't tend to drive out here for kicks. Saxon has just moved to under the desk, so I apologize for things getting rocky for a minute. Buddy, you gotta sit still. You're bouncing mom's camera. Giant sigh. I heard that. Delaware. That's like magic, man. Wow. I mean, also dead useful. I have to drive into Lloydminster tomorrow to buy pens because there's no place local that sells the pens I use. And I'm having trouble with my 005, my 03, and my 08. So just like, okay, I guess that's an hour to go one way and an hour back just to go buy some pens. Part of me thinks I should just like use more common materials, but the problem is like I live in a super small town. There is nothing comparable that is more common here. Like I would literally have to go back to ballpoint pens or Sharpies to have something that would be readily accessible here. And that is not an option. So makes me wonder like how many people don't get into a hobby or don't excel the way they could at a hobby because they just don't have the resources for the access that they need. I've had a lot of thoughts like about disparity and stuff the last few days. There's been a lot of protests going on in Canada, rail blockages and stuff, and it's just got my brain very focused on what does equity actually look like and is it achievable? Lots of pundits talking. Naglis, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Fine, you guess is good. That's better than terrible. We will take it. What you working on right now, Naglis? You got a map on the go or school stuff? Yeah, Patrick, I've been there. I do know exactly what that's like. Good job on finishing your map, Neglis. Math or history, right on. Grow your brain. Grown brains are important. We like them. They help the world make better decisions. I'm not sure that that's the best thing, though, Laura. I mean, yeah, it saves you money in the long run, but creativity paralysis is a thing. Brian, hey, how are you? Neglis, maybe do the maths and like keep the history as your reward for getting through the math. I'm thinking about embroidery too, Laura. That's been something that's been kind of on my mind. The problem with that is like I know I will get this level of ridiculous with it real quick, and I don't know how good that's going to be for my hands. Kind of need to try a few smaller pieces that I deliberately rein in as smaller pieces and figure out if that's a thing I can even really do. Yeah, that's fair. Neglis, I understand. I think leatherworking would be really fun. I've been watching Fear. He live streams on Twitch frequently, like a couple times a week in the evenings, or at least evenings my time. And his leatherworking, he does it with pyromancy, like fire tools, which is really cool. I was thinking more like stamp-based leatherworking, which I thought would be pretty neat. Um, but yeah, again, that's like tools and supplies and all of that stuff. Stuff. Yeah, ventilation I think is a pretty big deal. Well, I'm glad that you have a little bit more breathing room, Naglis. That's positive. How tall is one tree that I am making? It's a good question. Let's find out. They are not very high. I can guarantee you that. Between 1 and 2 millimeters. The longest ones are 2. Most of them are 1, 1.5. Now that I know that, this seems even more ridiculous to me as a process. Oh my goodness. I'm a sucker for punishment, you guys. Oh my goodness, Naglis, that sounds intense. I'm terrible at that kind of recall. No good at it at all. Oh, thank you, Patrick. I'm quite in love with this compass rose. I think it really, really sets the mood quite brilliantly. There's going to be like a fairly large, really dark forest going on up here. And yeah, more dense, like more like what this corner is doing. These corners are doing. It'll be a dark and moody map. Everything except the dates. Yeah, I think I could probably do a better job of everything but dates too. I am concerned, honestly, about how to merge this into this, though. Like, not sure how I want to handle that. So, kind of thinking that I may end up, like, moving up and doing all of this and then coming in and figuring this out, but I'm not totally sure because I'm kind of in this area right now anyway. We will see. We will see. Brian, what are you working on? What is new in your corner of the world? Yes, you need to come to Art Jam. If you can tell me when you're coming, I will make an effort to go into Edmonton because I feel like that's just about meeting halfway. Thank you, Patrick. I feel like I may never live that down. Hello? Is there anybody out there? Fleshing out the new tattoo ideas. Nice. You've had a few that you kind of had going on in your brain. Are you any closer to figuring out what you want? How many much more area? So tell me if I'm completely out of my mind, but I wasn't planning on doing any major bodies of water with this map. My plan was that this would be all densely forested, the whole thing. That said, as I was saying at the very beginning of the stream before you popped on, Brian, this map has been the most mentally challenging map that I have worked on in a really long time. I am struggling to stay focused on it for any length of time. My brain is just like, no, you've made a solid square inch of trees. Go do something else for 3 hours. And I'm like, that's not acceptable. So part of me is like, do it, make it what you envision it. And part of me is like, save yourself some aggravation. This is clearly not the time for you to continue beating your head against this thing. So I don't know. It's very much an academic issue at this point. It is a Necromancer map. So the campaign that I'm running for Charles and Lisa, the big bad is a necromancer named Amelie who lost her partner, Bartholomew, when he failed the ritual to turn himself into a lich. And they had been a team who had worked together to try and achieve lichdom immortality together for a really long time, and losing him kind of like totally unhinged her. So now she's in the process of like research and everything to try and like get him back and still be able to preserve her own lichdom. And so they've been kind of seeing bits and pieces of her work as she's like learning how to raise different kinds of undead. And it's kind of like they're getting the whole origin story of her as well. Like she's leveling up at the same time that they're leveling up. And so they found out recently, like they forced her out of her tower that she was in initially, and she's had to relocate. So this map is supposed to be kind of the clues to her relocation. So there's like all kinds of little Easter eggs in here I've seeded for them to find. And then ideally her stronghold is like up here. Um, so, and the stronghold is in a petrified forest. So it's kind of, sorry, just caught the map making masochist comments. Brian, you are not wrong. Anyway, yeah, I do not know where the hell this is going. A swamp or a bog, I think, is, yeah, I think it's not a bad idea. Like, I think ocean is not at all accurate to where geographically this is taking place in the world. And there's a petrified forest. Like, I know for a fact that her stronghold is in a petrified forest. It would be really cool if that forest was actually underwater, though. I saw a clip on Facebook the other day of a stream. I want to say it's in Brazil, that every 7 years or so floods by like 1.5 meters. And for whatever reason, the walking paths around it flood and the water stays perfectly clear. So you can actually like snorkel through it and it looks pristine with just a little bit of stuff floating on the top. But it's clear, it's not muddy. You can see through the water, you can see all the leaves, you can see all the plants. And so I was thinking like this petrified forest might be really interesting to have at like the bottom of a lake. There was a lake that we used to go to when I was a kid called Sugar Lake that was created by a dam. And so you couldn't fish in certain areas of the lake because your line would get tangled up in all of the pine trees that were at the bottom of the lake. The fish loved it, but it was really irritating if you were a fisher person. So, yeah, I don't know. So many ideas. So much insecurity about whether or not I'm going to be able to get this done. I mean, I do think it's turning out really well. Like, I'm pretty content with just how it is right now. Like, I think it's one of my better maps, honestly, which makes me pretty happy. But masochism is not quite off the mark at this stage of the game, gotta say. So, yeah. I was planning on having a river come through here, so maybe I can swamp that up. But I gotta figure out how to draw a swamp. That is a thing that I have yet to actually work out in practical reality. I was going to erase this line and see what that did for me. I'm experimenting with doing my rivers in the negative right now, just leaving them as white spaces. And I kind of love the effect. I think it's really interesting. Cattails. The forest from Neverending Story, yeah, for sure. The thing for me is knowing how to represent that at such a distance, right? Because this is crazy ass scale. Like, you would never see a cattail at this distance. And this is kind of like where fantasy map making gets its fantasy label, I think, because you have to have a relationship between what you're trying to represent and the symbology that you're using to represent it. So yeah, there's definitely me needing to do some problem solving in terms of getting this sorted out. I don't know if you were here for it or not, Brian, but Patrick was like, hey, how long are each of those marks that you're making? So I measured them, and they're between 1 millimeter and 2 millimeters. And now I feel like masochist is absolutely the word of the day. Why do I do this to myself, you guys? Art is pain and pain is art. You are not wrong, Laura. Not even a little bit. I was saying to Lisa last night that I swear to God, like half of mark making or half of map making in the style in which I make maps is like mental fortitude. It's not even like the aesthetic of what you're doing. It's the determination to just keep putting all of these tiny little marks on the page. And knowing that as long as you do that, you're going to get something worthwhile at the end. Because what I do is not hard. Like, none of the marks that I make are difficult to make. Anybody could do this. It's a matter of knowing how to put them together in a way that's going to give you what you want, which I think I'm pretty good at. But, like, these are tick marks, and some of the rest are dots. So anybody could do that. It's not special. Yeah, exaggerate or don't even bother, I think is super good advice. Super good advice. Okay, well, we have a natural shoreline here then. So what if we swamp this out a little? How do we swamp this out? The vision is the hard part. Like, for real, it's the hard part. Does anybody know a good name of a swamp? Swamps. Marsh, bog, quagmire. Give me a map. Map of a swamp. The fire swamp. What is the fire swamp? That sounds... Oh, it's a fire station. That doesn't help me. Come on, Google. Swamp picture. Aerial picture. Aerial view. Okay. So, let me see if I can get this on the camera. Come on, catch up, lag. Bog jogs, and you're not kidding. What do we think of that? Morass, yep. What if we tried this? Maybe this could be fun. Oh, there it goes. It finally started focusing. All right, we're going to attempt to duplicate this swamp. See where we get with it. How do I want to do this? A similar pic you found? Okay, awesome. So at least I'm on the right page. We can go with that. Some great shapes in the land masses in here. Holy wow. I feel like sometimes I lose out by not like labeling my maps either. I was wondering about putting labels onto this one in Photoshop afterwards, just to give it more like atmosphere. Because then you can put in stuff like, you know, the Black Bog or, you know, the Five-Fingered Mountains. Because I was thinking of adding one more set of mountains up here so that it looked like four phalanges. Kind of like a hand that was gripping the map and kind of pulling it, maybe. Wasn't completely sure about that. White masking first. Oh. Oh. I don't know. I think that might be too dark in this corner with how dark this already is. This is also one of those ones that I think would be probably better served in color, because you can just get so much more variety in color. I'm not broken, I promise. I was thinking because we had done on the stream last week this guy, and this we had done with the dip quill and my jar of masking fluid, and then we washed over it with the black ink and then rubbed it up and got the white relief underneath it. And I think like that would be a particularly gorgeous way of doing things, except that it's literally the negative of what I've been doing this entire time. And so I can't visualize right now how I would merge those well in order to make it look harmonious. I'm gonna have to play with that though, I think, because I think that that black like negative relief would be a super useful thing for me to actually get figured out. In the meantime, I just got to figure out what a bog looks like. The great thing about it is it's going to really challenge me to put some more textures in here. Not rely on the same old marks all the time. Sometimes I get a little repetitive. It's true. Oh, can somebody tell me if the stream is okay? I just looked up and it had flashed something weird on my screen. It's all good? Okay, great. Thank you, Laura. I don't know how bog like that looks, but I think I need a million more pieces of this before it does. You just messaged me something? Okay, give me a second. Yeah, I thought about something like that and doing it as a negative space on the outside. The problem with that is um, because this is so unbalanced on both sides, like I really did myself a disservice by pulling it this close to this edge. Anything that I do to make this at all bigger is going to look even more lopsided. And I just don't know how that's going to work for me in the end. I do like the idea of it. I'm just not sure how to pull it into being. I feel like this swamp thing could be really good, just perhaps time consuming. But you know, really, I can't complain about that given all of the other choices I make. I guess what I want to know is, should I do all of the water as just solid black to really give that black marsh? Scotch tape some scratch paper. Yeah. Because maybe let's get this out of the way for a second. Black ink, where are you? Actually, wait. No, not black ink first. Masking fluid first. This jar is hard to open today, which means I need pain drugs. Come on. I like the other brand of this stuff so much better because it's so much easier for me to get into. Come on. Nope. There we go. Yes? No? No? Oh my god. I might not be able to do this just from lack of getting into my tools. My god. There we go. That was annoying. Alright. Because if this works, this will give us that heavy black negative that Patrick was talking about in some respects. And then it'll still give us the swamp that we were thinking about, that I was thinking about. Okay, so let's call that landmass 1. That's sorry guys, I'll look up in just a second. I realize I've been ignoring the chat for a minute. Two meeting deltas, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with Laura's assessment. There hasn't been too many cases or anything, but the racism has just been stupid. Some people are just rude. Okay. Let that dry for a minute. Patrick, what? Hey, what? Okay, I'll let that dry and then see if this does what I think it's gonna do. Like Groot, hey? Do you have a lot of cases there, Naglis? Like, why would it be causing a food rush? What was your idea? Tell me anyway. Coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee. Thank you for tuning in to literally help me watch paint dry. And on the worst possible paper for this, because I'm not working on watercolor paper right now. I'm working on a Bristol vellum. So it may buckle, but we're going to find out. Nope, it's definitely too wet. Yeah, reflections is a great idea. Absolutely great idea. But I think it'll end up being like coastal reflections as opposed to like individual trees. Unless, I don't know. Think about that. State of emergency, really? That sounds terrifying. We haven't had that many cases confirmed in Canada, and Canada is such a huge country that basically, like, where there have been confirmed cases are so spread out from each other that containment is its own issue, really. I wonder if I flap this, if it will dry any faster. It does appear to help. Yes, bug out bags are very, very useful. My ex-husband used to work for the provincial government here and had basically a bug out bag for his office because there were periodically issues that would be problematic. So he always had like extra food and stuff at work, which was interesting. Wasn't something I'd ever really thought about. 15,000 people watching a basketball game? That seems amazing. Like, in a slightly terrifying way. Okay, I want a not good brush. I want an okay brush, but not a good brush. How about this one? That will work. It's not that the threads are sticking, Patrick. It's that it's one of those stupid you must push down to twist types. And I find it difficult to push because I have nerve damage in the palm of my hand. So that's just an uncomfortable thing for me to do. The blue jar that I have is just a twist off, but that one's empty. So I just need to get more. Oh, I follow Naglis. Yeah, that seems unfortunate. Do you think fewer people will go because of the coronavirus issue? Like, some people get pretty self-interested and want to make sure that they're fine. Yeah, well, there's gonna be some of those in every crowd too. Sometimes people don't have the good sense to be afraid. think I should invest in a blow dryer for drying these things faster. But then I'd have to deal with the noise of a blow dryer on the stream, and I don't know if I want to do that. Actually, paper towel might even work. Stay there, Saxon. Stay. Never mind. Because it's liquid still on top of the latex. Alright, let's try that. That would be funny, Patrick. I admit I probably would have been the people giving you a look because I would have been like, what now? But, like, it makes sense. It makes so much sense. Alright. Let us start here. Oh yeah, and this is great paper for this. Not... How come I always demo stuff with the wrong products, guys? Here, let me test this theory and see if it's going to work. I'm going to do it with everything that isn't going to make it work. Okay. So we have land shapes. Does it look very bog-like? Are we winning? Is this getting close to what we want? Okay, now let's put some bog texture in here. My pens do not want to draw over where the latex was, like, at all. So this is getting across what we want. And we think if I add more, like, texture in here, it'll continue to make it better. I think I might not be able to do it with the frisket though, because it's really affecting how my pen is laying down, like big time. So I might just have to do it building it up by hand, which is fine. It's just going to take more time. And as we've already established today, time is a thing I do. So, yeah. What do we think of that? Kind of getting there, maybe. Okay, let's go back to the main map. And carry on with this. Keep that out where I can see it. All right. Perhaps heavy foliage at the river's edges, but very sparse along the center of the land masses. Yeah, let me see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to focus in. I'm kind of just making smoothish textures. Okay, camera, focus. Catch up to where I am. There we go. Focus. It's not showing as focusing for me, I'm sorry. But my goal is not like a whole bunch of little trees. Oh, there we go. That's better. Maybe. But just kind of shades, I guess, more than anything. We'll see if that works. Still looks good? Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's almost 11. Well, it's a bargain. My Patreon people get it for like anywhere from $1 to $10. Um, it's yeah. I don't know that I'll ever get to the point where that kind of money is gonna be something that I get to make, but we'll find out, right? One day. One day we'll know. I think that there's a lot more time and skill that I can put into these to make them even better, so we'll just keep trying. I think I'm gonna kick off in about 3 minutes here. Get myself another cup of coffee. I may live stream again later today. This was so helpful just to have you guys around, kind of keeping me company and keeping me honest about getting the work done. I had better focus during this session than I've had like all week trying to get this done. So I think I just need a break to grab some breakfast and another cup of coffee, and then I'll probably come back. So I will post to the Facebook page when I decide I'm streaming again. And if you want to come back and join me and keep me honest, then then yeah, we can do that. Painter's tape instead of masking fluid. I have not, Patrick. Mostly because I usually work on watercolor paper, and for that, masking fluid is completely fine. This being a Bristol vellum, the latex doesn't like it. But I should see if I have some. I bet you Dave's even got some in the basement. So I can go have a look for that actually after I have some breakfast, and then we can see if that makes a difference, because maybe it will. All right. It is that time. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go eat, and then I'll post on the page when I come back. So thank you for hanging out. For everyone that can come back, cool. I'll see you later. For everybody that can't, then that's totally cool, and I hope you have an amazing day. Yay, library architecture. I'm a fan. You're back, Naglis. We're going to sign off for now, but I'm going to probably stream again later today. I just need to grab some more coffee and some breakfast. But this was super good for me. So, so yeah, we'll do it again later. So good luck with your homework. And if you're on later, we'll see you then. And if not, I hope you have a good rest of your night. Laura, enjoy work. And we'll catch you guys soon. All right? Love you. Bye.